haven't been down to Australia for a little while, so we thought it's high time that we ventured down under. We're catching up today with Chris Green, who had a bit of time in Essex and in the UK last summer, and has been travelling all over the place. So we just thought we'd get a few words. So, Chris, welcome back to 98 Out. How are you doing?
Yeah, good to be back, lads. Been a little while, and well, firstly, good to be home for me. Nice to come back. I've skipped a winter as usual, and I managed to pretty much skip a lockdown. So, yeah, all's gone well.
You're in Melbourne, is it, at the moment?
Sydney. No, Sydney. I live in Sydney. So I was quarantined in Melbourne, but I'm in Sydney.
Long journey home, wasn't it?
It was. I left the Caribbean on the 16th, and I got back to Melbourne on the 21st, I think it was.
So was that Caribbean, London, Middle East?
Caribbean. Where was I? I left St. Kitts on the 16th. I got to Barbados. I left, and then I was in Barbados for 2 nights, and then I left Barbados on the 18th. Flew through London, then flew to Amsterdam for a night. Flew to Singapore for I can't remember how long, and then eventually Melbourne.
Yeah, I've been to Amsterdam for one night. That was that was good.
I can't say I achieved much. I was so tired and didn't know where I was after not sleeping much on the first few legs. I ended up sleeping 2 stints of 12 hours, so that got me through my day then.
That was my excuse as well, for the record.
Yeah.
So I've just been looking, Chris.
Yeah.
You're talking about being travelled, and I've just dug into the internet a little bit and just found the teams you played for, and it's quite an impressive CV. I mean, obviously T20 heavy, but Birmingham Bears, KKR, Multan Sultans. You played Surrey Twos, Guyana Amazon Warriors, Lahore Calendars, New South Wales, Sydney Thunder, Jamaica Tallawahs, Middlesex, Toronto Nationals, New South Wales under-23s, and some team called Brentwood as well.
Yeah, it's quite a list. I think I remember doing a podcast in quarantine, and someone read it out, and we sort of went back through a few memories, and it was pretty cool. Like, I still consider myself very, very young and very new in the world, but having now played overseas for a few years, and then I made my professional debut in 2014, which feels like ages ago, but it feels like yesterday to me. So it's been pretty cool. There's been some fun journeys. It's taken me to parts of the world that I never thought I'd get to in the first place, never mind for cricket. I remember playing a weekend tournament in Norway, obviously playing in Canada as well was awesome, and then playing in the IPL, UK and Pakistan's been pretty special.
So the question is, when are you going to represent your country, and which country is that going to be? With David Visa going from South Africa to Namibia,
yeah,
which one would you choose?
I consider myself Australian. Obviously, I've got a very diverse and mixed and confused upbringing or background with a South African dad, an English mum, born in South Africa with an English passport, but now living here in Australia. Playing for Australia would be the dream for me, and it's what I continue to work towards. So that's where my loyalties lie.
Would that be white ball cricket for Australia?
Oh, I'd love to play Test cricket.
Yeah.
Look, I think realistically, my chances of playing for Australia will first come in the short form of the game, and then progress that way. But David Warner and a number of other players have shown that in Australia, and obviously all around the world, it's starting to happen now as well, that you can still crack into then one-day cricket and Test cricket if you do well enough from there.
Well, while we're on the subject, what are your thoughts about the upcoming Ashes?
Well, I think it's a huge in with Ben Stokes just announcing that he's coming to Australia. I think that's massive. Before that, I was a little bit worried for you lot. But I think he makes a massive difference, all-round abilities. I think the way he plays the game, is fantastic as well. So I think that brings your chances in. So you may only lose 4-1 or 3-2 now.
I'm not going to disagree too much, actually, but
No, Glenn McGraw would. Glenn McGraw would still go for 5-0.
Yeah, no, look, I think it'd be a good series. I think if Root can continue the form he had in the recent summer in the UK, and then other guys can start to chip in as well, I think that's going to be the mainstay. But you need someone just to support Root, as you know, as we saw in the recent summer. If someone can support Root, the team does really well. If it's just him struggling, or if he misses out and the rest of the guys miss out, in these conditions facing our fast bowlers and the way Nathan Lyon bowls as well, I think it could be, you could be up against it. But I love an underdog, and I think I'd love it to be a closely contested series as well.
Yeah, the trouble is the last few series in Australia in the Ashes haven't been that close, have they? Up in England, you've had some real thrillers, but whitewashes have been a feature of the last few tours to Australia. Yeah, exactly. So look, I think, as I said, I think Stokes is a massive in for all fans. It's a pity the Barmy Army can't come down and it be a normal down under trip for England, because I think those tours, as we've seen, are absolute sporting spectacles, as the recent one was in England. And then just before that all starts, we are now underway in the World Cup, and I believe you've got a fantasy World Cup 11 that you've put together. I think Webby's got the details.
I've got the list here. Yeah, I've got the list here. So opening up, let's break it down. Opening up, we've got Butler and Rohit Sharma.
Yeah, it was a tough one for me. I think the unlucky few that miss out from that opening pair is sort of De Kock, Rizwan, and Babar Azam. Pakistan's had a great start, particularly those two, and they're in great form. But I've gone for Butler and Rohit Sharma. I think longevity, stats, and whatever in current form, I think those two will get me off to the start I want.
Very good. And then, you know, as bowlers, you're looking to get one of those out, and then you've got Virat comes in. And then after Virat, you've got Pant coming in.
Yeah, I wanted to be quite aggressive, and I wanted so that's what I went for. So I think having Virat there with a lot of people who play shots around him can just take not that he worries about pressure, he carries that pressure enough, but he can just bat through. And then I just want stroke makers and boundary hitters to just keep going. I don't want them to waste time.
So who would you have keeping, Butler or Pant?
I think Pant, because I haven't seen Pant's fielding skills, and Butler obviously can field. And I love Rishabh Pant, but I'm not convinced he's going to be a better fielder than Butler.
And you got the token Aussie coming in, got Maxi coming in, 5.
Yeah.
What's going on with that ponytail that he's got?
No, it's horrible, isn't it? Horrible. The top knot.
Yeah.
So Maxwell and Kyron Pollard to steady the ship in the middle order.
Yeah, just to knock it around. So as I said, I don't want anyone wasting any time. Maxi can play however he wants. He can slog it. He can play left-handed. For all I care, he's in good form. He's in a hot run. I saw, obviously, he plays well in the UAE, and I just want them to take the game on.
And then Al Hassan, Rashid Khan.
Yep, my spinners, who obviously Shakib can bat a bit as well. He's batting probably pretty low. If you're in trouble and you want to hold some of the hitters back, he can float up. But I think the way he bowls, is just I think he's the leading wicket taker in the history of T20 World Cups. He's up there in runs as well. So he's someone you can't count out. And then Rashid Khan's Rashid Khan. He speaks for himself, I think.
Of course. And then you got the gas. You got Bumrah, Afridi, and Norkia.
Yeah, I think Bumrah is an easy pick. And then the other two, I think they're the form fast bowlers. Norkia, the last 2 IPLs, has just been bowling fast and just seems that no one's really got him big. And then Afridi to come on and swing the ball early. So some notable omissions. I think Narayan, he's in good form. He's probably not there, but he's not playing in the World Cup. Who else was a tough decision to leave out?
Surprised you've only got one Aussie in there.
Yeah, there's not enough in form for me. I think Warner Warner's, in the question to be thrown into the opening spot, but he hasn't scored enough runs recently to be included, I think. But his numbers are very, very good. And then there's no one other than Maxwell really dominating. Our middle order in Australia, I think, is going okay. The top three have been struggling, but Stoinis, I don't think compares to a Pollard or a Maxwell or a Shakib Al Hasan. I don't need his bowling, middle order batting. So I'm pretty happy with that 11 so far. I think they can do a decent job for me.
You're fresh back from the CPL. Windies came into this tournament as, I don't know if favourites is the right word, but I mean, they've got a good track record at the World T20, but 2 defeats so far, and they're looking a little bit kind of not quite at the races. Do you think they were too sentimental in picking that squad?
Yeah, look, I think someone asked me about this today, actually, and my thoughts on them. And I think the West Indies, if you look at their team, their biggest threat or strength is their batting, and it just hasn't fired. And I think potentially where they're exposed or their biggest weakness is, I think, their bowling, particularly their fast bowling and spin stocks. I think Akil Hussain and Dwayne Bravo have got a massive role to play. They're the sort of two. And then, they've got Pollard and Russell to bowl a few overs. Those guys aren't at the top of their bowling games, I don't think, right now. And then similarly, Ravi Rampal in those conditions, again, I don't think he's a guy at the top of their game. So they're probably just lacking that 1 or 2 seam options. And then I think Hayden Walsh is a good bowler, but again, not in form as their leg spinner. So as I said, I think their bowling's exposed and they haven't fired with the bat, which is scary. And they are guys, if they can get together, they can all of a sudden just turn it on. And they're now going to need to. So if they lose one more game, they become just a dangerous team to mess up other countries. That's where I sort of see them at. Again, the South Africa have got through them, England have got through them, and probably are quite relieved that they caught them on off days. That they're a sort of moody team, and Pakistan's another one in the past who can be that sort of moody team. And if they get on a hot run or have a good tournament, that's why I think Pakistan are massive outside favourites at the moment, particularly the way they beat India.
Who'd you see in the final? Just put your head on the block, go on.
At the start, and look, I haven't looked close before. I haven't looked closely at the draw and how it would all work. I sort of picked it would be England, India, West Indies or Pakistan. That was my moody pick for the semis, and then New Zealand. I thought that would be the top 4. So now looking at how it starts, and I'm not sure what results are needed for it to happen, but I think it's going to be England, India, Pakistan are probably the one there, and then Australia looking decent. So I think the semis will be England, India, Pakistan, and then either Australia or South Africa. I think it's even without Stokes. Honestly, the way they're playing and with that group, I think it's England's World Cup to lose. They're just red hot. I love the balance of their team, and they don't have Archer as well, so it'd be a massive win.
Yeah. So talking of England, you've had a summer over here playing for Middlesex and the mighty Brentwood. Good experience.
Loved it. Look, I think firstly, my first commitment over there was with Middlesex, and playing at Lords and ticking that off the bucket list was incredible. It's such a surreal feeling and place to play at. And I think just the luxury of having sorry, I'm going to take this through to my bedroom. The dog's gone nuts. My brother's just come around for dinner and he's lost it. But yeah, so as I was saying, that look, the luxury and everything of Lords, it was everything it lived up to be, and so much more. So that was really cool. And then the decision I had was to either come home and do my 2 weeks quarantine and hang around and try and train for 3 or 4 weeks here and then go to the CPL, and then have to quarantine again, or stay stay on, find some cricket, and hopefully if there's dropouts or injuries in the 100 or whatever, then get a gig before going to the CPL. So as it turned out, I loved my time with Brentwood. I found myself commentating on the 100, and it was a good decision because Australia, or Sydney in particular, then went into lockdown. So I could have even missed out on that opportunity in the Caribbean.
What were your thoughts on the 100 while we're on the subject?
Look, I was a fan. I think it massive inroads for the female game from an engagement point of view, and future growth and opportunity and professionalism of the game, and to get the females playing on the major grounds, I think is fantastic, because often in the UK and Australia and obviously all around the world, they don't get that coverage. So to get that coverage, to get fans and young girls and even boys watching and going out as a family affair, I was really impressed with the production and the event. And I think obviously the timing of the summer and COVID restrictions all releasing, it turned out to be a very popular thing to go and do. And then the men's side, I think by the back end of the tournament, the guys started figuring out and creating a more entertaining product. At the start, I think there was a lot of finding feet. The conditions of wickets produced, I don't think were favourable. I think as well from an entertainment package, because people, at the end of the day, I remember my first bowling coach at the Thunder said, at the end of the day, people don't come to watch you bowlers bowl dot balls and get hit for singles. When you get hit for 4 or 6, you're actually contributing to the game. I think by the back end there were some really good games, some big scores, some great bowlers and bowling performances as well. But I think it started to be a lot more known, and I think that'll progress as well. I think just the issue will be with it and with all county cricket is just managing a schedule to try and fit it all in and please the masses. But I think it should definitely stay.
And in terms of the women's game, you've been involved in the WBB, haven't you, over there?
Yeah.
Since you've been back?
Yeah. I like the girls are down. Unfortunately, we're cut off from them. They're down in Tassie because of our country's got crazy things going on. We're a little bit like North Korea in some of the states. They just block each other out and crazy stuff's happening. But our girls are trying to defend the title, and they haven't got off to a great start. They're none from 4 with a washout, so 3 losses and a washout for the Thunder women. But good that they're playing cricket, and they'll start hopefully bouncing around and picking up.
You mentioned about ticking off your wish list of places when you're up in England. You failed to mention your little visit to the Lords of Essex at Billericay just before you headed off to the Caribbean.
Yeah, love it there.
It's the Rose Bowl of Essex.
Yeah, that's where Mum's from, Billericay, born and bred. So Granddad's right up the road from the ground, a short walk away, and I was able, through your help, to set up a little training base there and get me hitting the ball well for Brentwood, or continue hitting the ball well for Brentwood, and then roll it on into the Caribbean. So. Without plugging it like a shameless loser, it's a great facility. Having an indoor centre in England is much needed, I think, anywhere. But I worked with my good mate now, Jim, and we had a good time.
He was very pleased when you put a picture on Twitter.
He was a great man. We had some good conversations.
Yeah, he's good. So what are your plans now? Obviously, you're doing the stuff with the WBBL, but what's next for?
I've got, I'm like mainly enjoying the time at home. I got back into training last Monday, so easing back into it. I've got, I think, about 4 or 5 weeks before our first game of the Big Bash. So club cricket, there's a practice game on this Saturday, and then our first game the following Saturday. So I'll be able to play 3 or 4 weeks of club cricket, which will be nice. Something I don't often get the opportunity to do. So that'll be a nice sort of tune in. Just try and earn back some brownie points with my dog and my girlfriend after spending 4 months away from home.
I've seen on your Instagram that the dog's been helping you in the nets.
Massively, yeah. He hardly lets me get to the crease with the ball in the hand. So no, he's good. He was a little puppy when I left, and he's now 8 months and massive.
Are there going to be any crowds at the Big Bash this year, or is it still behind closed doors?
Look, I think so. It's not all confirmed yet, but I think a lot of it. Look, I think South Australia is about to open up. They've all got these crazy state restrictions, which creates the states into different countries almost. But South Australia or Adelaide's about to open up mid-November. They're talking about Queensland opening up mid-December. WA and Tassie, I don't think will open up. So I think if there's a lot of the games could be in Sydney and Melbourne, and then if all goes to plan with Adelaide and Brisbane, then we'll start using those venues as well. But otherwise, Sydney and Melbourne, and Melbourne Cup's happening on Tuesday. I think they've got 10,000 or 15,000 originally going. They're quite forceful on getting your vaccine here. So I think New South Wales, where I am, we're up to 94% first dose and over 80% second dose. So yeah, I think things are trending in the right direction, and I'm hopeful we'll have no restrictions on crowds and just crack on, especially for the Ashes as well.
Makes all the difference having people in the ground. It's like watching the football over here, comparing it to last year when they were playing in empty stadiums. And
yeah, huge difference.
All right, Chris, great to catch up, and lovely to see you looking so fit and well. And we're not jealous at all that you're entering the summer season where we're plunging into the misery of the English winter.
I thought it'd be good to put a shirt on because it's 24 degrees and what is it now? Nearly 8 o'clock at night. So I better put a shirt on just not to rub it in.
Well, always great to see you, and we'll be following you closely as always. And many thanks for coming on 98 Out, Chris Green.
Awesome, gents. Thanks for having me. Keep well, and we'll see you soon.